Hi. Because of this plague going around, and certainly it is a plague, well, let's not speak about that so much, that I wanted to bring something bright uh, into the conversation. The brightest thing that there is, at least for us Jewish people. And it's the essence of life, because this is the essence of the tree of life. And there's many ways to understand the tree of life. There's the form of the tree of life and the way it's expressed in nature and the solar system and the universe. And then there's the tree of life, how it is in the Torah. The Torah is built on 4 levels, like a tree. And what are the 4 levels? The first level is the roots. The roots is what it keeps the tree from wandering off somewhere. And what is the root of the Torah? The root of the Torah are the 5 books of Moshe, which all came out of the 10 commandments. They were engraved with the finger of God, and each shard was a letter, and over 40 years, God and Moshe put all the letters together, 600,000 letters. And that's the Torah. And in the Torah, the 613 commandments. And anything that's written, there's later another 24 books. There's 29. Anyways, there's 24 books altogether. And so the other 19 are also prophecy, but they can't contradict what's in the 5. And similar, then there's the actual tree, the trunk and the branches, and this is the law, known as the Talmud. And the trunk is the Mishnah, the first time the oral law is written down, taking 600 different categories and condensing them into 6. And that's like the root, the trunk of the tree. And the branches are then the Talmud that explains all these things, everything that could happen, would happen. I mean, just everything's in the Talmud. And we don't have all of the Talmud. Some of the Talmud was actually lost. But what we have, that's how we know how to conduct ourselves as a Jewish people. And then there's the Medrash. And the Medrash is like a deeper insight, sort of like the story. But the highest one, the fruit, the Medrash is sort of like the leaves, and the fruit is the Zohar. And the Zohar means actually brilliance. So what could be more light than the brilliance of the Zohar? And people generally don't learn the Zohar, and certainly don't teach the Zohar. And the Zohar is actually very mysterious. It came to the world about 1,000 years ago, 700 years ago. It was written 2,000 years ago from Rabbi Shimon. And the man who wrote it down 700 years said, this is all the words of Rabbi Shimon. And when one reads it, they realize, only Rabbi Shimon could have written this. There's many beautiful things in the Zohar, and many things that are just inexplicable. We can't quite grasp. And one of the things in the Zohar is very clear. You're not supposed to. Generally, people don't learn the Zohar. They learn the law. They learn the Medrash. They learn the Torah. But for people who learn the Zohar, you're not supposed to teach the Zohar. And it goes on, and I forget exactly where, but talking about this, one is not allowed to teach the Zohar. But then in the end, it says, when the world is falling apart, teach everything. So therefore, I'm going to try best I can to do this daily and to teach from the Zohar. Little things that are, just some of it is just so simple and so beautiful that everyone can understand it. It doesn't matter who you are, what you believe or don't believe. It doesn't matter. Belief is what we don't know, so we believe something. But this is this beautiful knowledge. So here I copied this out of the Zohar. Just want to I'll learn a little Hebrew here. See, Hebrew goes from left to right, from right to left. But I'm upside down because I'm or backwards, whatever. I'm here on the left. But it says kama, and kama gadola hayira, lifnei hakodesh baruch hu. So that's the part we're going to start with. Kama gadola hayira lifnei hakodesh baruch hu. What does this mean? Kama gadola means how great. It's like a what's it called? Like a question, can't think of the word of it. A rhetorical question. Kama gadola. How great is the fear before HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What's HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So this is the way we refer to the Creator. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu means, the Hey, the Ha means the. Kodesh means separate. It's often translated as holy, but that's not really the right translation. Why? Because we use this word when we marry, and we say we're makadesh this woman. Meaning, it doesn't mean that we made the woman holy. It doesn't need us to make her holy. And so what is kodesh? It means separate. When I marry, a person marries a woman, it means that this woman is my woman. No one else can have her. She's kodesh. She's to me. So in the same way, the Creator, who is neither physical nor spiritual, and therefore is everywhere all the time to everybody, is kodesh. That's how Jewish people, Jewish scholars for thousands of years refer to God as HaKodesh, the separate one, not physical, not spiritual. All we know is what God is not. It's not possible to know what God is because we can't think in other terms than physical or spiritual. And Baruch Hu, so Baruch means blessed. And the thing, Baruch means blessed, and it has to do with the knees, which are called brechim. And the knees, when you bend your knees, you get lower to the ground. That's why when we want to get close to God, we tend to bend our knees and bow down. Why? Because that brings then the blessing down from the heavens to the earth. And lastly, who? Who means him. And there's a great deal of confusion about this. Certainly God is not a him. Not a him, not a her, not physical, not spiritual. There's no word in any lexicon anywhere that can describe the Creator. But in Hebrew, everything's either physical or spiritual. Everything is physical or spiritual, and everything is also male and female. There is no neuter in Hebrew or in Arabic or in Sanskrit. These are like holy languages. They don't have a neuter. Everything's either male or female. So, since God is the giver and we are the receiver, so we refer to God as him, and us as, we're like God's wives. And, that's a whole other subject, polygamy, but there's one man and we are all God's wives. And that's why we call God him, but God is not him. All right. So, we did the first part, Kama Gadola Yira Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How great is God? How great is fearing before God? I should explain what fear means. Well, we all know what fear means, like right now people are afraid. They don't want to get this. Even if we don't die, who wants to get the flu? And this is worse than the flu. And so that's a very basic kind of fear. So there are actually two types of fear. There's that fear, which is that basic fear of, I don't want to get hurt. And then there's a higher fear, which is referred to as awe. like certain things like are just awe-inspiring. Like if you go to a high mountain and look out, you just have to sit down, man. It's just overwhelming. And the interesting thing about the word yira, that you could also in it is the word ria, which means to see, because that's what makes us afraid when we see it. Like we've been hearing about this plague coming, and now we're seeing it. Things are shut down. People are sick. Like you actually are starting to see it, and when we see it, we get afraid. And so one should also see the Creator and have a certain amount of fear, a certain amount of awe, and a certain amount of fear. Like if you know someone is watching you, that you're going to be more careful. You're not going to use your words so, carelessly. You're not going to act in thoughtless ways. You're going to think about things, if you're with your kids or your woman or your man or your, whatever, you tend to act differently. You don't want to be embarrassed. By ourselves, can do whatever. And we should, and why? Because we see that there's someone around us. And that's how we should be with God. It's kind of fear we should have with the Creator is, feel all the time, the Creator is around us. So it's going to explain this. So the next part, let's see, there we are. Shebaklal hayira, and inside of this yira, included in this yira, anava. Included in this yira is anava, and anava means modesty. Not modesty. More like humility. Yes. Anava is more of humility. The word is an ani is like a poor person. And anava is like, really, it's humility. So if a person has yira, so automatically inside of that yira, inside of that fear, is humility. And people who realize that the Creator is here all around us tend, if we think about it, to cause us to have humility. One thing about our time now, I believe, when historians write about this time, they will call it the the age of arrogance. This is just, the arrogance of our time is unbelievable. And why? And what has made this arrogance? That they don't see the Creator. And we know this because that they're because their understanding and what they teach everyone is how something came out of nothing. And therefore, the obvious conclusion is when it finishes its time, this spark of life, this moment of time on this physical world, will go back to nothing, came out of nothing, go back to nothing. And this is the most arrogant of theories, because it just eliminates everything else. And the truth is that there is no nothing. Nothing does not exist. Believe me, whatever exists is something, and every particle of space is filled with something. And we know nature abhors a vacuum. We might look out there and say, oh, well, look, all the space. But if you have a neutrino, like neutrinos go through like metal, like, man, where is everything? There's nothing here. Because the truth is, it appears to us, because the particle part of the particle, the energy, the whole thing, of this creation of the universe is 4%. The other 96% is dark matter and dark energy. So we don't really, know what's out there, and to make this proclamation out of 4% that all of us is nothing. But the Torah teaches the opposite. That it's actually something. It was the nothing that came out of something. And when we leave this world, we're going to go back to the something. And the greatest pain, dying is hard. No one wants to die. I mean, no one looks forward to the experience of dying. But death is a whole other thing, Once you're dead, you don't feel any pain no more. But you're still there. The I is there. I am here. I am dead and I am here. And then you begin your entry into the spiritual world. And the greatest pain in the spiritual world is embarrassment. Like if a person goes out and buys a whole bunch of toilet paper and doesn't shit about anyone else, probably the right term for that. That when they go to heaven, that's who they are. They're covered in toilet paper. Like everyone sees that's who the person is. Right now we can sort of hide who we are, but in the next world we can't hide anything. Everything is seen there. So if a person understands that, if one sees there is a creator, and there is a place that we all go, there's no hell. This is the lowest level of physicality. Everything other than that is spiritual. And we go into these spiritual worlds, and we have to give can't think of the word that I want, but we not recompense, but we have to give. We have to face our life, what we did. It's a great honor to be here in this world, and this is what we did with our time. And that, if one is arrogant, they're going to go there. They was a big this, had lots of money. None of that matters in the next world. What matters in the next world is, did you love? Were you true in your love and your heart? Did you help other people? These are the things that, and people tend to do that more if they're humble in themselves. They realize maybe I have something, but I could be just like that dude on the street, man. If this hadn't happened, that hadn't happened, I'd be just like that dude. And maybe I would be, that guy doesn't steal. Maybe I would steal. None of us, really know. And because of that, we should have anava. And I'll just read this last thing. I won't do this whole thing today, just because I don't know how long people can listen to me. Well, but anyways, so then this last part, I do the rest tomorrow. And the last part where we were here, ubaklal ha'anava, and because a person is humble, chasidut. So therefore, the person has a kind heart. Maybe I will finish it all. Maybe I don't know. But so there's 3 levels here. One is yira, that I fear, that I see that God is around me, and that will cause me to have humility. And then lastly, because I have humility, then the kind heart can come out. If one is arrogant, you can't really, have a kind heart. You're just haughty, or we see, people are arrogant, don't know how to give. The orange man in the White House is a good example of that. But besides all that this is the truth of the person. Because we can say things, we can do things, but the truth is really in our heart. And, no one really knows what's in a person's heart, and because of that, we can't really judge one another. And it says, trying to know that God judges us by our intentions. So if one had good intentions in life, maybe, they fucked everything up, but they had good intentions, So, as a guy that judges them by what they tried to do, not by what they actually did do. And God is very kind, and the whole thing is very kind, and this whole plague that's coming to us, and it is a plague like in the time of Egypt, where each sickness meant something. And this sickness certainly means something in that it's making everyone very hot, because the planet is very hot, and we have to start taking that heat away, one by just through our physical being, just like we see that mushrooms can refine like putrid things. Also, the human being, by taking this heat upon ourselves, we lower the heat of the world. We break the chain of this global economy so that we can't keep on producing more and more and becoming fatter and fatter from consumption. And this is the basis of our economy in America, is consumption. The more we consume, the better is the economy. The richer people get, and the poorer everyone else gets, and then they get thrown down, the seconds of, whatever we're buying next. Whereas obviously it's not going to work. Certainly nothing we could be proud of in the next world. So this is an opportunity to really rearrange things. They just want to get to the bottom and start trying to climb back up again. But no, this is an opportunity to really change, how things work. We have a good system. We have a good infrastructure that we can certainly make better. The question is, why are we here? Are we here just to have more and make people richer and try to invade someone's land and do what we've been doing for 2,000 years? Or maybe this is the time for the paradigm shift. And maybe this is the time that that we begin to really awaken to what's happening around us. The 6,000 years of man are concluding, 220 years left, and we're going into 1,000 years of woman. And this is a really, this is a way of transformation. And we see, it's interesting that this sickness, it was brought to everyone through the rich people who can go on boats and fly on planes and have holidays somewhere every, while people are, poor, living on the streets. And it's some sort of like divine retribution that they brought us all this crap, and now they're they also brought us the sickness. And we should learn from this that the rich and the powerful are certainly not always the best. The best human being and the one who understands why we're here. Usually they just understand their own self-interest. And so this is a time of real change. And as we go through this, I feel the best I can do for the world, since I'm an old man, I shouldn't really be out there too much, that I can teach from the tree of life. And it says, he who holds on to the tree of life has life. So be well.